Good morning YouTube. So I'm a little bit stuck at the moment. I'm still waiting for all the little circles to arrive so I can weld in all the holes. I'm also waiting for some more box. The one piece of 50mm box, but I'm waiting for more to arrive. So there isn't a massive amount I can do. I don't want to put the tube in here yet because I've got the reinforcement plates. I've ordered them. I'm waiting for them to arrive, and I'm going to try and tie them into the plate that goes down the turret that also ties into the pieces of tube to create the anti-intrusion. So yeah, I'm sort of stuck there. I've decided I'm going to put some plates on the spit once I've got the box section on, so I can actually get the car on the spit and get it upside down, because it's going to make things a lot easier. But for the time being, I've got some sheet steel, so I had that kicking around, so I've decided to try and tidy up this sort of rear section. It's a bit of a mess with where the spare wheel well was. And I want to add some extra sort of strength to these plates because the main impact protection comes from that, and like I said, I want to put the car on the spit, so they need to be nice and strong. This will help with that. So I've cut a cardboard template just to make that straight across the back there. Then once I've got the car on the spit, I'll also cut another section so it all ties in underneath and it's all sealed and boxed up, and that'll add an absolute ton of rigidity to the plates that I'm going to mount the impact protection on, and should just tidy the whole thing up a little bit. So I'm going to lay that on the steel, draw around the template and cut that down ready to be welded in. So the other thing I haven't got, I'll just fold this tripod down, is a sheet metal bender. So if I had a sheet metal bender, this would be extremely straightforward and simple. But as I haven't, it's not. So what I'm going to do is mark where the bend needs to be. Check that. Can come back just a little bit further with it. Yep. Mark where that bend is. I'll measure in from there. Mark it equally there. Then flip it over. So I'm on the inside, get the straight edge where the bend is, and then just with an angle grinder grind all the way along the straight edge, make sure it is perfectly straight, just to create a little score. And then when I bend by hand, it should bend smoothly along the score. You have to be careful not to go too deep, because obviously when you bend the steel it can break, but you need to go deep enough just to create an impression so it will fold on that score. So yeah, it's not ideal. Like I said, if I had a sheet metal bender this would be so simple, but with limited tools you have to improvise. I'm going to buy some more bits and bobs. The sheet seal it's a tongue twister. The sheet steel section I'm putting in the rear, I want to bead roll it all, so I'm going to buy just a cheap bead roller, because flat sheet steel not only looks a little bit sort of bodgy if you just leave it flat, but also the bead adds some more rigidity so it doesn't wobble and flex around. So that's something definitely on the purchase list. I think I'm going to buy a pillar drill as well, just to make life a little bit easier for me when it comes to drilling small pieces of steel, etc. But yeah, with this workspace, like the car pretty much fills it, so I can just about get a table in here. I've got all this junk at the back which needs to stay in here. I've got no storage elsewhere for that, so I'm just restricted for space. So the amount of tools I have is more due to the limiting factors with the space I've got available, rather than anything else. So yep, let's put a score in that and see if we can bend it neatly. So I've used a 1mm slitting disc just to put a nice clean, straight, sharp slice through that. Just score it to see if it will bend smoothly. I'm using the edge of the piece of steel to bend against, because it's a nice straight sharp edge. So hopefully I haven't gone too far and this won't break. Slipping around. Oh, that's not bad. So that fits quite nicely in there. Makes the back of the car much tidier. Let me get in the right position. There we go. Yep, I can weld that in there, and that just finishes off the back end of the car really well. And like I said, I can come underneath with another plate, so it's all boxed in, no dirt, tyres, bits of tyre and stuff will get stuck up the back there. And yeah, right, let's get that welded in. not the prettiest thing in the world. I mentioned it before, my welder is stuck on 0.8 wire. Something like this 0.6 would be much more suitable. So what I have to do with this is just sort of tack it in position, grind it back, and then try and go over with a second pass that's a little bit prettier. Which is marginally successful. That looks okay, it's passable, trying to grind it down. This whole thing's been wrapped or painted anyway, and the main thing is it's nice and strong. Joined, no holes in it. That'll do. Right, the next thing, while I'm in here with the welder, might as well clean up and do the reinforcing plates. So, that's not too bad. Obviously all the undersill and everything caught fire, that's normal. Front's quite tidy, the back not so much, but there you go, that's what it takes to get in there. That side is even less tidy, but again, joint strong, no holes, plenty good enough. There's a little bit of progress made on the back, and had a delivery. So these little reinforcing plates turned up. They are supposed to be the other way round according to the picture, so that one on the other side flipped the other way round. But they seem to fit better this way round, and there's more meat on the back, and it's going to be stronger here than it is here. So yeah, I'm going to weld them in the wrong way round. Yeah, that looks good to me. I think that'll be next on the list to start cleaning up this little lip here. I want to make a plate and sort of try and figure that one out as well. Nice job done. So while I'm waiting on parts, I'm just attacking whatever I can really. So let's get these cleaned up and come on. So they're welded in. Shouldn't really try to tidy up the welds because it always looked worse. They weren't massively untidy. There you go, joined with paint that looked good. I want to do this section next, but in order to do that, the windscreen's in the way, so I'm going to try and remove the windscreen. I don't know how successful this is going to be, but I'm going to attempt using a multi-tool for at least along the top. I can get along the top with that by the looks of it on the inside. I generally and probably will continue to use this stuff. It's like a strange serrated window wire type stuff. But like I said in the last video, because I've glued it in, there isn't much adhesive there. Normally with these screens, they're glued in and there's quite a big step. And because I've glued it in, I've just put a load of glue down, pressed it down far too hard. I don't think I used enough glue either. So there isn't actually much space between the window and the body, which is going to make it extremely difficult. So there you go. You live and learn. Next time I shall use more glue. If the windscreen breaks, it's not the end of the world. Like I said, I think I'm actually expecting to break it. It would be quite nice, I don't know if they're available, if there is a heated screen available for these, because there's no heat box in the car. I'd rather not run an electric heater, but obviously you need some way of demisting the front screen. So yeah, I'll have to do some research and see if you can actually get a heated front screen for these, because that would be a really good upgrade. Right, let's have a go at this. So that wasn't anywhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. Windscreen out. Clean all that junk off around the edges. So it's a new day, and I've had some deliveries. The E36 compact remapped ECU has arrived. That is the final piece to the puzzle for that particular car. Pop that over here, I can plug that in and that's done. Got various different size discs to weld in to fill all the holes inside the car. The trailing arm reinforcement mounts. The suspension turret mounts, which was the part I was waiting on before I can sort of make progress with the front. That's not too bad. So they slide in like that, I can weld them on. After my best attempt at welding the other day, I decided that it's probably a good idea to try and improve what I'm doing, because I'm not getting it right. It's just not very tidy. It's strong enough, it's joined, but if I can make an improvement on that, I will. So I bought a new welding mask. The other one, as you saw in a previous video, I sort of polished it all back up again because it was all scratched. But just recently I've been noticing my eyes hurt a little bit after I finished welding, so I don't think it's working properly. It was just a cheap Clark thing, so I'm replacing it with a cheap Artec thing. One of their new true colour welding masks. I don't know how good it's going to be, but we'll give it a go and see what happens with that, see if that improves things. And the other thing I decided was probably a good idea is if I start wearing my glasses when I'm welding. I've recently had an eye test and my short-sighted, I can't see things close very well without glasses. With the glasses it improves things massively, so I think maybe I should start wearing my glasses whilst I'm welding. That might help, because I think the problem is just purely vision. It might be that, I mean, this Megatronic I bought second hand in, oh god, 2010 maybe, and it was about 25 years old when I bought it, so it's had plenty of use. I've repaired it maybe 10 times. I've done the rectifier in it. Has flat stopped working a couple of times. One of the relays in there burnt out, and there was a spare channel on the relay, so I moved the wiring to get it working again. So yeah, that's probably not the best thing in the world. Like I said, I'm stuck on 0.8 wire. That doesn't appear to be a problem. I've been speaking to people who do sort of car panel bodywork repairs, and they seem to use 0.8. I assumed one of my main problems was the fact I was stuck on 0.8 wire and I should be using 0.6, because that is set up for 0.8 and 1.2, being a bigger industrial thing. So there's no option to put 0.6 wire in it, but that doesn't appear to be a problem. So I think I'm going to try and make my best attempt just to improve and tidy up my welding. It's always been a bit hit and miss. Some of the cages I've done have been absolutely brilliant. The welding has been really, really clean and tidy. This one was sort of done in a rush and cleaned up the welds afterwards. Again, it's nice and strong. There's nothing wrong with the quality of the weld strength wise. I've tested that in sort of many ways in the past. It's just not very tidy. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to make an active attempt to improve the appearance of my welds. The other things that have arrived, I already had one piece of 50mm box, ordered another 2 lengths. I'm ordering still from Amazon of all places nowadays, because they do next day delivery. It's just so much more convenient than when you order off eBay and wait a week, or steel suppliers generally have quite an expensive carriage cost for sort of an individual piece or a small quantity. They're not really set up for sort of small purchasers. They want to sell in bulk. So yeah, Amazon for steel, very strange. When it comes around to painting the car, there we go. Just some 2K gloss black for the actual bodywork. The only parts of the car I've really got to paint are the pillars, the door shuts, and the roof pretty much. All the fiberglass I can paint off the car individually. It makes life a lot easier, and there'll be more space in here whilst I'm painting them as well. The car's going to have a wrap of some kind I need to get. I don't know whether I'm going to try and design something myself or actually get a professional designer to create a livery for me this time. So we'll see what happens when we get to that sort of stage, but it's going to have a full wrap. Like I said, the interior's Raptor paint, just black textured Raptor paint for all the interior, the cage, under the bonnet, probably all these bits, anything that needs to be hardware, and under the arches, the complete underside of the car. That will all be done in Raptor. So the next thing really, I know I'm jumping around from thing to thing, but the next thing really is to get the box all in place, front and rear. I'm going to, before I weld the box together, drill out some holes for bolts, probably only 2 actually, and make a plate to slot on the inside of the box with captive nuts on. Then I can weld wherever I can get to, I can weld that in, but drill slightly bigger holes in the actual box, and then anything that comes off the rear of the box can then just be bolted straight on, and it gives me a place to mount the spit as well for rotating the car, because it's going to be so much easier getting this thing upside down when it comes to all the stuff I've got to do underneath. Even these, welding them all upside down, pointing upwards, no fun. If I flip the car over so I'm in a better position, I'm not getting bits of hot weld going in my ears and all the rest of it, that will be a huge improvement. So yeah, cut these, make some plates, weld some captive nuts in, weld it to the car at the back, the front. We'll still need to put a bit of 4mm plate on there, trim off this bottom, put a bit of 4mm plate on there, and then I can make the same arrangement for the front as well with the box section. I think I've just about got enough. So yeah, quite excited to try the new welding mask, see if that improves things, or just maybe admit the fact that I'm terrible at welding, I haven't got a steady hand, and put up with the appearance of my welds afterwards. So, some bits of steel car. Didn't think I'd be doing miters anytime soon, since I'm not working with timber anymore, but yeah, larger ones for the front, larger ones for the back, smaller one is for the front, so they're all cut and ready. So, my review on the Artec True Colour welding mask. Scratched up old Clark thing. I'm never buying another one of those ever again. The experience with this thing is completely different. You can see much better before it dims, and when it does dim, again you can see better. It is just a completely different experience, and I think most of the problems I've been having with welding is due to vision, not being able to see properly. So yeah, highly recommend. They're ever so cheap as well for something that I think is a huge improvement. In fact, they're cheaper than the Clark masks, I believe. So yeah, brilliant, happy with that. So they're ready to go. I've tacked some nuts, so I've made them all captive nuts on the back of there, so I can mark and drill the front of them and then tack them in there once they've cooled down. And the other thing I've done as well, cut some plates to weld onto there, and then that gives me somewhere to mount the box section. So yeah, just gotta wait for these to cool down and I can figure out exactly where they're going to be positioned on there. So this is the basic idea with the captive nuts. I've drilled a slightly larger hole in the front and just welded the plate in the back both sides. So now I have a captive nut, it's slightly off centre but doesn't matter. I'm going to weld these up. I've got somewhere to bolt the tube work coming off the back of the car too. So I'm going to weld them up and then I can weld it to the back of the car. Well, I would say that is a clear improvement. Yeah, being able to see helps a lot. So, as you saw, I was sort of struggling to get this bar in square because the car isn't level. So I sort of plowed it into the roll cage. An old saying from my manual labour days, if it looks right, it is right, and it certainly does look right, so I'm going to say that is right. So yeah, I have one piece of box impact protection, worst case scenario impact protection. It's just past that, so that's perfect, and then I can come back and create some sort of smaller gauge impact protection off the back of that to the regulations, and that'll just protect the fuel cell and radiator and basically the shell. You know, if I go in hard, that will sort of protect everything in there quite well. So I'm going to do the same at the front. So it's a new day. I checked the previous footage and I thought it was still recording when I put the bracing in, but the GoPro battery had obviously gone flat. So I put a little bit of bracing in each side because I'll probably put a bit of tube or box off the bottom there just as a jacking bar. So just giving that a little bit more reinforcement, that will carry the weight of the car quite well. The next bit, I suppose, really is the front. So move the welder and weld the plates to the front, and then I can put the box section on the front too, and that will be front and rear complete. So let's make a start on that. So I can confirm welding is much easier when you can see what you're doing. I wouldn't say it's perfect because I haven't got a very steady hand, but much better than that mess. I wish I'd waited until I got a new mask before doing any of this. Having said that, cleaned up with some Raptor paint over the top, I'm sure it'll look fine. The other one's done as well. Much better. That is good enough for me. I'm really quite pleased with that. I'm happy with the overall appearance. It's definitely not going to fall off. The front box section, all in and done. The captive nuts with the plates are in there, so I can bolt this on. So next stage, get the spit modified so this shell will fit on the spit. It's set up to take the, what car was on there? The S13. So I need to adjust the mounts on that to take this. And that'll be the next job for tomorrow. You know the score. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you all soon.